Hello friends, Dr. Chad Arnow here from the University of Dayton Winds and Brass channel with another Trombone Basics video, part of an ongoing series designed to help beginning, intermediate, and advancing trombone players along their musical journey. Feel free to like, subscribe, click the bell notification to make sure this and other videos like it show up in your feed. Also, make sure you've checked out the rest of the channel. There's a playlist called Trombone Basics with lots of great information there, as well as videos of my colleagues and I playing a variety of things. There's recital footage as well. In today's video, we're going to look at how to properly lubricate and maintain your hand slide. With a slide trombone, if the slide doesn't work well, the instrument doesn't work very well. So it needs to be maintained regularly and properly so that the trombone has a good long life and so that you can play all the things that you need to be able to play. So how do you know that it's time to lubricate your trombone slide? Well, quite simply, if it starts making noise or stops moving easily, then it's time to maintain the instrument. So a good trombone slide should move silently. You shouldn't be able to hear much, if anything, when the slide is moving. It also should easily move under gravity's power. So if I held my slide over here and I carefully let the outer slide go, it should fall quickly onto my hand. Never do this without your hand being there to catch it. So the slide should move easily under gravity's power. And if it doesn't, it needs to be maintained, it needs to be lubricated so that it gets back to a working condition. This is not a video about cleaning the slide, that's a separate video. This will be a quick wipe down and a quick swab and a quick lubricate. This should only take a few minutes. The supplies that you'll need are also pretty few. You need your trombone slide. You need the cleaning rod that is probably already in your case. We looked at this before in a separate video. It's a metal rod with a ring on one end and kind of like a large needle eye on the other. You need something like cheesecloth. You can also use a longer strip of an old t-shirt that you've cut up, something soft and absorbent, but cheesecloth is great. You can get cheesecloth at your local hardware store in the paint section. You can get it in some fancy grocery stores near the dairy section or anywhere there might be cheese making supplies. You can also order it from online retailers that have South American river-based names. You might also need a good cloth that you keep in your case all the time. And again, there's a video about the supplies you'll need, and a good cloth is one of them. This cloth is well used, and you can see that based on its color. You also need a good quality slide lubricant. Your slide might need different things than mine does. This is a lubricant I've used for a long time. I would stay away from any lubricant that includes the word oil. If it is a slide oil, it is probably not very good. It probably smells bad and it won't last very long. So go with cream lubricants or other liquid lubricants that are not oils and your slide will last longer. Step one is pretty simple. Unlock your slide and take the inner slide out. Set the outer slide down carefully. Take your cloth and wipe off the inner slide from top to bottom on both sides. It's never a good idea to layer new lubricant on top of old lubricant. As lubricant breaks down, it leaves behind a residue, some lubricants more than others, and layering good new lubricant on top of old stuff is not going to work out very well. For a simple reason, there's only so much space between this part and the outer slide, and the more it gets filled with stuff, especially old gunky lubricant, the worse it will work. So it's generally a good idea to wipe off old lubricant from at least the inner slide before you go any further. So we've wiped off the inner slide and we set that carefully aside. You could simply re-lubricate at this point and it would be okay. However, it's a good idea to periodically swab out your outer slide and make sure that's clean as well, and I'll show you how to do that now. For that, we take our cleaning rod and our cheesecloth. You take the end of the cheesecloth and thread it through the eye on the end of the cleaning rod. Then you take the rest of the cloth and cover the metal tip of the cleaning rod, and then wrap the cloth around the rest of the cleaning rod until all the metal parts are covered. What you'll be left with is excess cloth on this end, the metal tip covered, and a length of cloth that you can hold on to down here by the ring. You don't want to let go of the cloth because it can bunch up in the slide and cause all sorts of problems. Once you have the correct thickness here, then you can take your outer slide and swab each tube. You always want to hold the tube that you're swabbing and then use the cleaning rod and cloth to do that. It looks like this. You want to be careful not to shove the thing in there so far that the end causes a dent on the slide crook on the end. And you want to hold it firmly with your left hand or your non-dominant hand, and then the cleaning rod and cloth with your dominant hand, and simply twist and move the cleaning rod in and out of the slide tube to help remove that old lubricant. Then you'll do the same on the other slide tube. It doesn't take that long to get the old stuff out to put new stuff on. Now, if your slide was not working very well at all, sometimes simply removing the old lubricant will make it feel a lot better. At this point, you want to reassemble the inner and outer slide. Start with the outer slide and put the inner slide back into it. And again, it should already be moving pretty silently. That way you know you've cleaned a lot of the old stuff out. At this point, you're ready to re-lubricate your slide according to the instructions on the lubricant itself. Most manufacturers are really good about putting the instructions for how it should be used directly on the packaging or on the product itself. I find most younger players tend to over-lubricate their slide and use too much. And again, with the small amount of space between the inner and outer slide, there's not that much room for a bunch of lubricant. So go a little bit less than you think. You can always add more if you need to. The lubricant I use requires a little bit of shaking up, so I'll do that now. If it's been stored in an excessively hot or cold environment, it might separate and need to be shaken even more, and that might actually degrade the life of it over time. So store it in normal conditions as opposed to extremes. You want to extend your slide so you can see the very top of the slide stockings. That's the last few inches of the inner slide. You'll see a little line 4 to 5 inches, sometimes a little bit less than that, from the bottom of the inner slide. That's where you want to get most of the lubricant because that very bottom section called the stockings are slightly wider. That's where all the contact between the inner and the outer slide happens. If you put a bunch of lubricant up on the top part of the slide, it won't do as much good because that part of the upper legs doesn't touch the outer slide. The only point of contact is those stockings, and so you want to get most of the lubricant there. So I'm going to extend my slide. Normally I do this standing up, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to do this sitting down. You want to extend your slide so you can see the stockings. And you want to take just a little bit of lubricant and put it on each tube, and then simply work the slide back and forth. If you want, you can work each tube individually, where you take one side out and spread it around, and do the same with the other. And then reassemble it. It's as simple as that. There are some lubricants that might require a spray bottle of water or some other additive, and simply follow the directions on that. If you find that you've put too much on, simply wipe a little bit off and then redistribute the lubricant from the inner slide to the outer slide so that you have your trombone slide in good working condition. As always, feel free to contact me if you need more information. My contact info can be found at the University of Dayton Department of Music website, which is go.udayton.edu/music on my faculty bio page. There's also a contact me page from my website, chadarnow.com. So feel free to reach out via either of those methods. I'd be happy to help you out. Until next time. Thanks.